I want to invite you to imagine yourselves in a small boat. It's pretty dark outside, and the sun won't rise for at least 100 days. It's cold, so cold that the sea around your boat is freezing. You're alone. You don't know for how long you're going to be there. You're super scared. But you're curious to know, will I make it through the winter? This was the question I had in mind in the day I took this picture. I had just arrived to this fjord. I had sailed for 2 months between France and Greenland, and the sea was freezing around my boat. During all the preparation that took at least half of my lifetime, and at that time I was 26, I had met very generous people that had shared with me their best fears. Tamara, are you sure your little boat can handle the ice pressure? What if your arms are too weak? What if a polar bear finds you're there and eats you? What if a hunter finds you there and attacks you? What if a spirit finds out you're there and make you one of them? What if you get crazy? Well, I had so many fears that for a long time I was asking myself, should I give up? Can I stay here or not? But now that my boat was there, no discouragements could break the ice that trapped me into the winter. Before I arrived there, my identity for me used to be defined by my name, my origin, my face. But now it didn't really matter. I was not strong nor weak. I was not big or small. I was neither right or wrong. I was just the result of my gestures. I was definitely the least adapted species to be in this place, just a biped, a hairless biped covered in objects. And compared to my new neighbors, foxes and ravens, I had very little chances of surviving. I was only there thanks to many people. Thanks to the people that had designed my objects and helped me to prepare these boats. Thanks to the people that had written books, the books that inspired me to go there. Thanks to the people, especially the Inuit people, that gave me good advice on the ice and how to observe the weather. Also, thanks to the people that fought for the rights I was using to get there. I was alone, but I had never been so dependent on the other people of my own species. In the day I took this picture, I was feeling super weird. It felt strange to me to look at my lenses, to show my teeth. It felt weird to smile. I realized it had been a long time I had not used these muscles of my face. Because there was no one to smile to. But I knew I was happy. I used to write in this journal that I was happy every day because it was quite simple to be happy. Things that I used to take for granted now were very difficult. To drink a glass of water, I had to walk 1 kilometer away from the boat, break an iceberg into smaller pieces, put it into a bucket, bring this bucket to my boat, melt it with very limited amount of gas, and then put it in a glass, and then finally drink it. And this water would taste better than the best drink of the most expensive restaurant in the planet. I was just so grateful to have just a limited amount of light in the sky from the moon that was reflected in the ice, or from the aurora borealis in the sky. And I could not take for granted the light that as I used to do when I was growing up in Brazil. These simple things gave me a lot of satisfaction, and I realized that living in abundance cannot bring us satisfaction, because when we have much more than we need, we care too much about what we still lack instead of caring about what we have. I used to think a lot, and I used to think very fast. My thoughts would jump from one conclusion to the next, sometimes based on very false suppositions or extrapolations. And it was very comfortable. I was sure I was super smart, like one of the most intelligent persons in the planet, because in my society of one, everybody always agreed with me. When I came back, I realized many of the things I had written in this journal were quite stupid. It was comfortable, but it was a fiction. And it's nice to live in a fiction, but it's not true. We can only have complex thoughts when we confront our thoughts with the thoughts of people that have different perspectives from ours. I was crossing limits every day. I used to walk as much as my legs could. I could scream as much as I could, as much as I had enough air in my lungs to do that. I let all of the hairs in my skin grow, and these things gave me a big feeling of freedom. But after some months of doing that, what used to give me freedom just looked like a routine, and then it did not give me this same feeling anymore. I wanted to experience it again, and I realized that I got so used to the dangers that were there that I stopped seeing them. I will always forget this day in which I was walking on the ice, and I decided to go to land like I used to do every day. And between ice and land, there was some liquid water with ice pieces. I tested them with my torque, an Inuit tool, and a long wooden stick with a knife in the bottom. And I tested these small pieces of ice. And in the moment when I was about to go to this piece, I started to hear a very strange noise. I touched the piece, and I heard. And if you had asked before what would be the worst thing that could happen to me, I would describe exactly what was happening now. I just fell through this piece of ice, and I realized I was inside the water, the freezing water. When I left the boat, it was minus 26 degrees, and I knew that my life expectancy now was around 3 minutes. I did not have time enough to think about death because it was a too short amount of time. I did not have time to, watch the little movie about how our life had been on Earth. I just focused on getting some extra minutes of life by trying to take my body out of the water at least a little bit. And then I tried hugging the ice, but it was super slippery. And this ice was thick, so I started to look for pieces that were a little bit rotten. And I found a piece that was a little bit like a croissant with many thin layers of freezing water, frozen water. And then I tried to make holes with my hands, and then I tried to take me out 1 centimeter, and I could feel the water coming through the layers of my skin, of my trousers and then touching my skin and going up, 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 up. I could feel like my boots getting heavier and heavier and drowning me. And I was like, okay, Tamara, let's go 1 centimeter. Only 1 centimeter you can make it. And then 1 little extra centimeter, and then 1 little extra centimeter, and then another one. Then I could put my elbow out and another elbow out, and then my breast and then my belly. Then I started to believe, maybe I'll make it, huh? And then I started to crawl like a cat or whatever you want to think about as an animal. And then I was like, just trying to fight for my life. And then I could step in these eyes, and I saw like a big parts of liquid water everywhere and a big wall. And then I jumped in this wall, and I could take some little holes and start going up and up and up in this wall. And then suddenly I was feeling like extremely calm and extremely like in a big peaceful mood. And I did not feel anything. It was cold, but I did not feel the temperature. I did not feel afraid. I did not feel stressed. I just felt like super fine. And then I started to remember when I took my buckets of pee out of my boat, and then this bucket of pee would start to freeze, and I would end up like walking with yellow ice inside the bucket, and I thought, what will happen to me is exactly what happens to my pee. And I don't want to die as a pee. So I started to like focus myself rationally. We have to go back to the boat. We have to go back to the boat before you freeze. And when I got inside the boat, I was not sure I was still alive. I was asking like, am I alive or did I die? And my body stayed there in the hole. And my soul came flying to the boat. And this is why I don't feel anything. And I wanted to have like a real proof, and all the communication tools I had on board was a satellite phone with around like 5 minutes of call time. And then I took it, and I thought, who is the person I know that speaks less on the phone, who's going to be very concise and reassuring? And I decided to call my dad. So my father never answers the phone, so I knew there was little chances. He answered, it rang, beep, 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 beep. And suddenly I heard, hello? And I was like, Dad, it's Tamara. I fell through the ice, but I survived, Dad. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting into a plane. I don't have time. Well, call your mom. Good luck. And I was like, oh my God. I'm sure I'm alive because I know my dad, he would never have spoken to a spirit. After this day, in the places where I used to see freedom, now I saw a lot of risk. And it was quite tempting to stay inside the boat forever until the ice melted and I could sail again. But after 3 days there, I realized that this is not why I went there. I went there to learn. And we can only learn if we confront ourselves to the risks, the frictions of the world, if we expose ourselves to the unknown. I know that I was happy by being alone for 2 reasons, for 2 conditions. The first one is that I wanted to be there. There are many people in big cities like this one that spend a lot of time alone, especially like old people or people with some disabilities, and they don't want to be alone. This is not what happened to me. And I know I was also happy by being alone because I was sure it would end, because no winter lasts forever. Solitude, being alone, it's only possible when it involves the work of many people, and it's only freeing when it's temporary. But it's worth it trying to be alone because we are made of solitude. When I was about to leave the this place. When the sea was melting, I wrote some words in my journal I want to share with you. As long as we seek love in others, we will make solitude our enemy. We will only see its dark side, shadows, emptiness, danger. We will try to fight it by surrounding ourselves with strangers, intrusive voices, flashing lights. We will try to halt it, and we end up stopping ourselves. As long as we seek love in others, we will miss the chance to make it our ally. I never imagined I would feel complete on my own, that in the dark I would find beauty, that in danger I would find freedom. I didn't need to be here to find that, but this is where I did. Thank you.